What's good? What's good? Yeah, I know y'all see the title, BRICS. Let's talk BRICS. Everybody. That seemed like the popular thing that everybody talking about the BRICS and all that stuff. Even the certain news, uh, programmers are talking about it, right? And they're kind of dressing it up like it's some type of, like it's just some type of economic type, stuff, but they're not getting into the whole um, aspect of the thing because for one, they don't want to bring the people into panic, so and they're not talking about the military side of it, and so yeah, we're gonna get into the little couple prophecies about the BRICS and you know and how it's all gonna play out, right? So yeah, without further ado, of course, all praises to the Most High, and we do so in His only begotten Son, Yahweh Shai, right? So we're gonna get right into it. We're gonna start off with Jeremiah in the book of Jeremiah 50 and 22, right? We're gonna start off right there. Um, so yeah, boom, boom, boom. Jeremiah, boom, 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 50 and 22. So yeah, it says a sound of battle is in the land of all and of great destruction, right? So that's what we see when we look on the news. We're seeing this sound of battle. All these different countries are gearing up for war. China is getting ready to, getting their stuff together for the whole Taiwan stuff. Then if they go into Taiwan, that's World War III automatically because Taiwan is part of NATO, right? You got Russia doing what they're doing over there. Um, against the Ukraine, trying to build up their Soviet Union back, how it once was, because that's technically all they're doing. It's technically a civil war. So they're trying to uh, bring back in those old Soviet, uh, you know, providence that they had, that was connected to Russia before it all got splintered off, right? So, so it says, a sound of battle is in the land, great destruction. How has the hammer of the whole earth cut asunder and broken? How is Babylon become a desolation among the nations? Right. So, and if you following what understand that this Babylon is talking about America, right? Not ancient Babylon, but America, because when world history, you know that Babylon is not destroyed. Because we have something called uh, Iraq. And Iraq is still there. Iran, all them countries is over there in that area, so it have not been destroyed, right? And so it says, I laid a snare for thee, and thou art also taken, O Babylon, and thou was not aware. So meaning, this is going to happen like suddenly. You know what I'm saying? When the destruction of this place come, right? It says, um, thou was not aware, thou art found and also caught because thou hast strived against the Lord. And how has America strived against the Lord? They passed laws that's against, what the Most High said, how we should conduct ourselves. They, blaspheme, the Most High by certain doctrines and philosophies that they push, right? So they're this, conduct themselves in all types of manner of, wickedness, concerning the Most High God, right? So let's get Revelation 8 real quick. in Revelation 8 and 13, right? And it says, Behold, uh, behold, and behold, I'm sorry, and I beheld and heard an angel flying through the midst of the heavens, saying with a loud voice, Woe, 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 to the inhabitants of the earth. For by reason of the voices of the trumpet of the three angels which are yet sound, right? So these woes are talking about World War I, World War II, World War III, right? And so let's jump to 9 and 12, Revelation 9 and 12, right? It says, "One woe has passed, and behold, there comes two more woes," right? So it's talking about two more woes, right? And we know that third woe is what we'll call World War III, right? And just get boom, boom, boom. Just get Zechariah real quick. So we got to understand like how we're getting the build up of you know what's the role of the BRICS. Because the BRICS is coming together along with a few other members of NATO to come against this place that they call America, right? And because it's going to come a point in time where the Western powers are just getting their butt kicked so much that they're going to end up turning on America because they're going to look at it like, well, dang, America got us into this, so for us not to get further destroyed or get destroyed, just team up with Russia because this is not working out for us, right? So let's get Zechariah 1 and 8, 1 and 18. Boom. So Zechariah 1 and 18, we're gonna read down in like 21. So it says, and and then and then I and then lifted up my eyes and saw. Then let me read it right. Then lifted I up my eyes and saw, and beheld four horns. And I said unto the angel that talked with me, What be these? And he answered me, These are the four horns which have scattered Judah, Israel, and Jerusalem. So who is these four horns that scattered the Israelites? And how was we scattered through the transatlantic slave trade? These four horns are America, Britain, France, and Spain, right? Those are the four horns, right? And you can, kind of intertwine Portugal with Spain, because they technically, it's like one entity. So these are the four horns that scattered Judah, right? And which would be the so-called, the people that came over here on the slave ships, right? Then it says, and the Lord showed me four carpenters. Now it's talking about four carpenters, right? Which would be the BRIC, right? Because you got Brazil, Russia, India, China. You know, in South Africa, got added on at a later time, but that's what makes up the BRIC, right? Then it says, then I said, what come these to do? And he spake, saying, these are the horns which scattered Judah, so that no man lifted up his head. And how did no man lifted up their head? Because during especially during here in America, they kill all of our leaders, right? Anybody that try to come up and lift up their head to be a leader amongst our people, they assassinate them. And nowadays they assassinate people's character as well, right? So everybody that tried to come to do something meaningful for our people, they took them down. That's why I said no man lifted up their head, because the people are seeing this and seeing that our leaders is being systematically taken out. So then what that does to the rest of us, that make us stagnant and not want to actually look for actual real change, right? So that's what happens. So it says that so that no man did lift up his head, but these are come to free them. So the four carpenters is coming to free them, meaning come to free us, right? Which would be the BRICS. So 'cause a lot of people think, that they hear me, I was talking to this guy the other day, and he was talking about me being a supporter of Russia. Like, I'm not a supporter of Russia. I'm just an advocate of prophecy because I know what prophecy says. It says that, uh, but these are come to fray them to cast out the horns of the Gentiles. So God is, created these four carpenters known as Brazil, Russia, India, and China, and South America. I mean South Africa, of course. To take down these the Western European powers, right? So it says these are them that come to fray them to cast out the horns of the Gentiles, which lift up their horn over the land of Judah to scatter it, right? So God is using the BRICS to pay these people back for what they did to us, right? Let's get let's go to Revelation real quick, right? Revelation 11. Revelation 11 and 8. And it says, and their dead bodies shall lie in the great city. What's that great city? America. Our dead bodies is lying in this great city. And not just uh literally, but mentally. We're walking dead. You know what I'm saying? Just like that movie on that come on that TV show that come on A&E, The Walking Dead. We are the Walking Dead because a lot of our people don't know what's going on. We just out here just being straight up zombies. So it says our dead bodies lie in the streets of that great city, which is spiritually called Sodom and Egypt. That's interesting because America pushes the LGBT phenomena, and it also Egypt was where we spent our time in our first stint of slavery at, and just so happened America, you know, was a place that we spent you know about 400 years in slavery, right? So you see the correlation why they call in America spiritual Sodom in Egypt, right? And it says where also our Lord was crucified, because we are the body of Christ. We are the body of Yahushua. So whenever this place, kills us, that is like crucifying Yahushua, Jesus, over and over again. Whenever they, you know, unrighteously kill us, So, because we are the body of Christ, the Israelites, right? Then it says, boom, boom, boom. Let's get Ezekiel real quick, right? So, cause we gotta understand like how this plays out, and so because we are, like it says in Daniel, we are the valley. We are in we are the dry bones, right? So that's what it also, to expound on us being like the dead bodies that lie in the street, right? So just get Ezekiel 38, right? So now we're getting into the whole BRICS thing. So it says, this is Ezekiel 38 and 1. And the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Gog in the land of Magog. So Gog means prince, right? Because ancient Russia, they didn't have kings and stuff. They just used to call themselves prince, right? So Gog means prince. So prince of Russia, because Magog is an ancient way of saying Moscow, right? And we know Moscow is the capital of Russia, right? So it says, Son of man, set thy face against Gog in the land of Magog. and the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal prophesies against him. So, so God is, telling Ezekiel to prophesy against Russia, in their allies, right, and who they're riding with. And I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws. So if you've been fishing before, right, you throw a fishing hook in the water at a fish, you essentially can control that fish. You will it in. You can bring it, whatever way you're trying to bring it to, right? So the Most High God said He's gonna put hooks in their jaws, right, and turn them into this war machine that they're becoming, right? Me to put that idea into them to be the old USSR like how they once was. Because if you know anything about Putin, Putin was a KBG agent, which is like their version of the CIA or spies back during the Soviet Union. So he knows what the Soviet Union was before the fall. So he's trying to, now that he's in power, he's trying to bring that same energy back. That's why it says I'm gonna put hooks in thy jaws, meaning he's gonna turn them back to how they used to be, right? And it says, put hooks in thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth, and all thy enemies. In all thy armies, horses and chariots, horsemen, and all them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields. All of them handling swords. So it's talking about, their massive army because, they linked up with, you know, Korea, China, all these different, countries, right? So together they have a mighty army. And Russia, little that people know, that when they get into the whole Ukraine thing, like I say all the time, they're fighting Ukraine with their sea team. Russia has over 300,000 soldiers that haven't even, busted their guns yet, right? They just waiting in the wind for when the real action starts, right? So we got to understand what's going on here. It says, and I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth, and all thy enemies, I'm keep saying enemy, all thy army, horses and horsemen, and all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, and them handling swords. Persia, which is Iran, modern day Iran, because if you know the history, Iran used to be called Persia not too long ago, right? I think they changed into Iran in like 1950, 1960 when they became Iran, but they were known as Persian. And if you remember a long time ago, it used to be a commercial where they used to have Persian rugs, right? They used to sell Persian rugs, and they still got carpet companies that have Persian rugs, right? So it says Ethiopia, right? We know what that is. Libya, we know what that is. And all of them with shields and helmets. Gomer, which is like in the region of, Russia, or, and some people would say Gomer is an ancient way of saying France. And we know that France is kind of, still, doing some underhand stuff with Russia, and they're not really, you know, vibing with America like that, right? So it says, in all his bands in the house of uh, Tugarma in the north quarters, in all his band and many people with thee. So it's talking about all the whole entire BRICS, right? And because the BRICS, like I said, is we Brazil, Russia, China, Brazil, uh, Russia, India, and you can probably put a backslash with Iran, China, and South Africa, right? Then it says, uh, uh, "Be thou prepared and prepared for thy by thyself, die in all thy company that are assembled unto thee, and be unto them a guard." So this is why you see Russia, teaming up with a lot of these African countries and stuff, and Russia, you know, uh, with the Middle East, Arabia, and those countries over in that area, because Most High God is telling Russia to be a guard to them, like protect them, right? So Russia is being that big brother and bringing all these nations together, right? To be because and when you think about all the nations, especially these African countries that's trying to join with Russia, these are countries that America and other Western powers have messed over throughout the years. So Russia's like, man, I will send you what is it, 50 tons of wheat, 50 tons of grain to your country. What I'm saying? You ain't gotta accept the policies of America. What I'm saying? I got your back. So all these countries that have been done wrong by America, Russia is coming in and say, hey, look, we're not them. What I'm saying? Look, deal with us. We got your back, right? And so they building up, they whole thing, right? So like I said, when you watch the news, when they concerning the BRICS, they make it seem like the BRICS is just trying to combat against the G7, right? But it's more than just economics that the BRICS is trying to accomplish. They're trying to get control of the world, just like how the Western power got control of the world, NATO and the EU. So for them to be number one, they got to take them down, right? That's how it goes. So like I said, they putting all this stuff together, right? They're putting all this stuff together. And it says, let's get Isaiah real quick. Because like I said, Pastor not gonna bring this stuff out. Pastor, like I said, once again, you go to church, but you ain't gonna hear no prophecies about what's going on in the world. The pastor, just gonna give you a nice song and dance. You're gonna go to church. They're gonna sing some songs. You're gonna feel good from listening to some of your favorite songs. They're gonna pass the collection plate around about 3 or 4, 50, 11 times, right? And that's it. But here we going through the Bible and understanding what the BRICS is doing and how this relate to us and how it relates to how the world is being, you know, conducted, right? So now this is Isaiah 13 and 13. We're gonna start at 13, right? I'm gonna read down. Therefore I will shake the heavens and the earth shall move out of her place in the wrath of Yahweh of hosts in the days of his fierce anger. Talking about when these nuclear war kicks off and they dropping bombs everywhere, right? That's gonna cause the earth to shake, right? Then it says, and it shall be as a chastened roe, as a sheep that no man taketh up, right? A chase roe is like a deer. I don't know if you ever seen how fast a deer runs. A deer runs fast to the point where you can look at it, be looking at the damn deer, and the shit look like it just vanished, right? I seen that stuff happen before. I seen a deer clear some bushes, and I just knew that the deer got messed up because the bushes were like very thick, and they just went through that stuff like it was nothing. So said that it's gonna be like, and I seen, and it shall be as a chase road, as a sheep that no man taketh up. They shall every man turn to his own people, and flee every one into his own land. So that's what's gonna happen in that day. Everybody's gonna turn to their own people, right? And that's natural. When you go to a event or a large area, a gathering of people, a lot of times you look at you end up grouping yourself with people you're more comfortable with. So we're gonna find out who's your friend or not. You trying to be friends with the other nations because it says that what it says and they shall every man turn to his own people and flee everyone into their own land. So everybody gonna be trying to get back to their own place, their own country, especially here in America, because what they say, America is a melting pot, right? So you're gonna have everybody trying to get back to where they needs to be, right? You're gonna have everybody sticking together. You thought Montgomery was something when we came together, you know, and protect that brother. But in that day, everybody gonna be with their own people because it's gonna be all hell breaking loose, right? And then it says, boom, everyone that is found shall be thrust through. Everyone that is joined, uh, unto them shall fall by the sword. Now, who is that? Who's the them? Them is this place called America. Anybody that want to try to still call themselves American after understanding the knowledge and understanding that we are the people of the book, okay, you will be thrust through. When God passed judgment on this place, right, you will, like I said, be thrust through. And so you can't just try to think you can just, all right, I'm gonna be chilling with them. No, because like I said, when God spin the block, if you out there with them, you're getting hit too. That's just how it goes, right? That's why we need to come back to the law, statutes, and commandments and keep the faith in Yahweh Shai, who the world calls Jesus. So we won't get caught up in this mess, right? Because like we read in Zechariah, it's all to free us from this. It's all part of our liberation from this place, right? And we don't see it like that because we've been stuck here so long that we just think, oh, we're Americans, and we forget that we were kidnapped and brought here. Nobody that looked like me and you decided to come here on their own. We got kidnapped, right? And so, and all of this is to free us from these people that took us, right? Because, like I said last time, if we decide to leave America with no passport or nothing like that, we just say, we up out of here. The National Guard, Coast Guards, whoever is going to be right there to stop you. It ain't going down like that. Because just like in Egypt, where Moses said, "Let my people go," and Pharaoh would not let us go, America would not let us go. So it's going to take the Most High and His Son Jesus, who the world called Jesus, real name Yahweh Shai, to free us from this place, right? Because America is not going to want to let us go because we make too much money for them. We're their entertainment. If you take us, the Bible says we are the salt of the earth. You take us out of America, America has no flavor. Like, look at the football, right? Football will start. If you take every black and Hispanic person out of football, what is it to watch in football? A bunch of crusty ass old Edomites running back and forth, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not interesting. Like, you take us out of the NBA. Like, what would that look like if there's no black people in the NBA? What would that look like? Boring. That's what it looks like. So we are the salt of the earth. They would not let us go, right? Because we make this place go. We give this place credibility, right? So just move on. Then it says, and their children also shall be dashed to pieces before their eyes. And how would it be dashed to pieces? When them bombs is dropping and exploding and people is getting blown up with it, okay? This is specifically for these people, but sadly, a lot of our people are going to get caught up in it because a lot of our people don't want to take heed to the message, right? Because we still want to be caught up on Sexy Red and Sukihana and any other, you know, distracting crazy mess that we like to indulge into, right? Instead of understanding these prophecies and understand, you know, our true history and what's going on in the world. You know what I'm saying? We want to get caught up in a whole lot of other mess, right? So it says, and their children shall be dashed to pieces before their eyes. Their house shall be spoiled and their wives ravished. Because it's going to be all hell breaking loose. People are going to be breaking into your houses, right? Raping your women. That's what the Bible said. The women will be ravished. You know what I'm saying? And you want to be protected from that. You know what I'm saying? The Bible and other places tell you that, you know, your friend is going to come and even your own friends is going to come and steal from you. So we need to be protected from that. We don't have, for the most part, we don't have a militia, right? I mean, I know a few of us, you know, practice and do our Second Amendment rights. You know what I'm saying? I be seeing, you know, y'all on, you know, Facebook, you know, doing that little gun range thing. That's cool. I get it. You know what I'm saying? That's great. We need more of that type of stuff. But for the most part, we ain't got the ammunition and all that stuff to, you know, to really fully protect ourselves, right? So that's why we need the Most High God and His Son Yahweh to protect us from these things. Because tell you the truth, I know I ain't got nothing. So we need the Most High God, because when this stuff happens, this is our only hope. Because that's why the Bible says, in these times, wisdom is in wisdom should be your wisdom and knowledge should be your stability. That's what's gonna keep us sane. When all hell is breaking loose, you know what I'm saying? People houses getting broken into because somebody need a loaf of bread. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna be a time on this earth where you're gonna have to do something strange. You know what I'm saying? And not for no change. For your family, for your people, for the people that your loved ones that you protected, right? You're gonna see some things that you ain't never saw before. You're probably gonna have to do some things that you never thought that you might have to do. You might have to unalive a person. You know what I'm saying? Just to protect yourself, right? And that's the times that we're coming to. And we're not seeing the whole domino effect that's happening, right? We don't see that. Once the whole brick thing, they already established, because the brick's been a bricks since 2006, right? And probably a little bit before that. But if they come through with this whole with the currency thing, right? Because a lot of people think that BRICS is coming up with their own type of currency. No, what it actually is, the countries that's in within the BRICS, they're going to be able to deal with their own money, and then Africa has a lot of natural resources like gold, diamonds, oil, right? So they're going to be able to use that to back their money. America has fiat currency, meaning promissory notes, promissory notes, which means nothing. America's money is basically monopoly money. The only reason why people still use America money is because that's just what we do. You know what I'm saying? That one day, because it's really no difference between America's money, you know what I'm saying, and monopoly. Because, like I said, what gives America's money power is the fact that people still accepting to use it. Like those countries that is no longer using America's money anymore. Like I said, they just said, all right, look, we're not going to use their money anymore, right? So now, when this stuff fully coming fruition, as far as the economic side of, because right now we're just talking about the military side of the BRICS, but when the whole economic side come in, let me paint the picture, right? Uh, I know y'all heard this term before, market of the beast, right? So when that whole economic side uh, of the BRICS come into full effect, right? You know, countries dropping American dollar left and right. That's going to cause inflation over here, right? So America's going to have to try to reinvent their currency. So what they're going to do is implement what the Bible calls the mark of the beast, or the little microchip stuff. You know what I'm saying? That or the neural link that Elon Musk is trying to push, right? And a lot of it's a few people that has the microchip in their thing already. The Bible tells you you're not gonna be able to buy or sell unless you have that mark, right? And I'm not taking the mark, and I hope a lot of you don't take the mark. You know what I'm saying? And because, like I said, we have a God that will fight for us, and the Bible says, "My people shall not be hungry or be thirsty." You know what I'm saying? So as long as we serving the Most High God, we ain't got to worry about that, right? So we got to understand. So now you're gonna have the mark of the beast. So then what comes after that? So because you're gonna have an uproar, because you know it's a lot of people in America that might not know too much about the Bible, but they know about the mark of the beast. And you got a lot of with the Bible Belt part, what they call like the little Bible Belt of America. They know what's going on. So a lot of these little these people here, they're not gonna be so accepting to the mark of the beast. So it's gonna be chaos. Like how we read that where we read it at boom boom boom. It says and every man turn to his own people and flee from one to his own country. So you're gonna it's gonna be race wars jumping off. Not just race wars. It's going to be this civil war because a lot of people are just going to be fighting against the government because they're not going right. So it's going to be all hell breaking loose. So then what's going to happen? You're going to have the FEMA camps. The FEMA camp is going to be popping up. So then they're going to be sending people to the FEMA camp, trying to force them to take the mark, right? Or if you don't want to take the mark, they're going to lock you up, right? Because how America does these things, like the Western world, it's called order out of chaos, right? They commit. I mean, they make this chaos. They make events that's cause chaos. Then while the chaos is coming, then they push their agenda and make these certain laws, right? You know, and I mean, especially if you've been paying attention since 9/11, right? I mean, at least that's where I kind of picked up on it at. You know, since 9/11, like I say, we can see the order out of chaos philosophy play out, right? They push all these different privacy laws, and how now they can spy on through your phone. They put cameras and everything, right? Um, we heard about them putting cameras in the little Samsung TVs and all that stuff, right? So, like I said, they rule with order out of chaos. That's how they get down. So you're gonna have the FEMA cats, right? So then, like I said, then you're gonna have. So then, what's gonna happen is, because just like any country, they know that they're falling. So that's me personally. I think that's probably gonna be the main catalyst to how this whole World War III kicks off, because America's gonna be losing, right? Their financial power. So they're gonna have to do something about it, or else Russia, China, Korea, Iran, all them countries, they're gonna be the next superpower. So they're gonna, like I said, so that's to me is what's gonna kick off this whole World War III thing, right? So it says, and their children. Okay, then it says, behold, I will stir up the Medes. The Medes will be in the present area where Russia rules at right now, right? When you look at the ancient time of the Medes and all that stuff, that's the area that they kind of dwelt in that area. Southern, east, southeast Europe. You know what I'm saying? So it says, behold, I will stir up the Medes, which shall not regard silver, in as for gold, they shall not delight in it. Meaning, they're not gonna be worrying. They're not coming to rob you and take all your money. They're coming to kill and destroy. So they're not trying to like, what's to just no. Or you're not gonna be able to throw money at them and say, hey, don't fight us. Here, take our silver, take our gold. They're not on that. They want blood, right? Because the Most High God is putting a spirit on them, like we read in Ezekiel. It says he's putting the hooks in their jaws to turn them back to their old Soviet ways, right? So it says, I will stir up the Medes against them, which not regard silver, and as for gold, they shall not delight in it, right? Let's get Obadiah real quick. Obadiah 1:7, right? Obadiah 1:7 says, all the men that are confederate have brought thee even to the border. The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee, meaning America's allies and all these people that's rolling with them, a lot of them going to end up turning on America in that day. And it says, that's why have deceived thee, and they prevail against thee. They eat up thy bread and laid a wound under thee. Meaning, they might take your money, but they ain't concerned about your money. They want that get back. And it says, there is no understanding, none understanding in them. Meaning, like how we just read, they're not going to be regarding silver or gold. There's no understanding in them. Meaning, you're not going to be able to talk them down from doing what they came to do. You know what I'm saying? They came to destroy this place, and that's what they're going to do. because number one is Bible prophecy that this place has to be destroyed, and that's going to happen in this World War III thing, right? And it says their bows also shall dash the young. Their bows should also dash the young. Talking about these missiles, the ICBM missiles, right? And they shall have no pity on the fruit of the womb. Their eyes shall not spare the children. Meaning, when they decide to push them buttons to make the missiles start flying this way, they're not going to be like, well, I know the black and brown people ain't got nothing to do with this. So just try to maneuver around them. No, they're gonna push the button and they're gonna kill a lot of our people. And the reason why a lot of our people is gonna die in this thing because a lot of our people want to hold fast to this America. They want to, try to, what they say, live the American dream, and don't understand what the Bible said about us here in America. Said this is not our rest. God brought us here to America to chastise us, not to live your best life. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing wrong with you got a nice job and you able to do certain things and you can go on vacation and all that stuff. That's cool. I'm not saying you shouldn't you know enjoy yourself while you're here, but understand that this is not our rest. This is not all that is for us, right? You know what I'm saying? So it says their bow also shall dash the young men to pieces, and they shall have no pity on the fruit of the womb. uh, their eyes shall not spare children. In Babylon, the glory of the kingdoms, talking about America, beauty of the Chaldeans, excellent shall be as when God overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah. So God is comparing this place to when he threw down Sodom and Gomorrah, right? And that place is in rebels to this day. They have, little archaeological field trips and stuff. People can go and look at the ruins of Sodom and Gomorrah, right? So, and that's how this place is going to be, right? Then it says, it shall never be inhabited, neither shall it be dwelt in from generation to generation. Meaning, when the BRICS destroy this place by the power of the Most High God using them to do so, this place is not going to be inhabited no more again, right? You're not going to be able to build this place up. It's not going to be countries making a fundraiser, sending billions and billions of dollars to America to build them back up again. Like when those bombings happened in France years ago, and America and a few other countries sent France a whole bunch of money to help them, do certain. There's not going to be none of that, right? Or when America destroyed Iraq, and then they sent billions and billions of dollars to build back up. It's not going to be none of that stuff no more, right? Not for this place, right? But the wild beasts of the desert shall lie there, and their houses shall be full of dreadful creatures. Owls shall dwell there, and satyrs shall dance there. Right? Talking about desert animals, it's only going to be inhabited for desert animals to actually live in this place. If that, right? So this is what we're dealing with. And what people don't understand, like, that's what's coming to this place, right? And by the hands of what they call the brick, right? But here's the flip side. When you read Ezekiel 39, you read about how the Most High God is going to destroy the bricks. And then we're about to get into it right here on how, because after America is destroyed, like I said, because what people don't understand, the landmass of America is going to be desolate. It's going to be destroyed. But America has army bases all over the world. So their army, for the most part, is not going to be, jacked up, because when you get into the whole Armageddon part of this thing, because a lot of people think World War III and Armageddon is the same. No, Armageddon is a war that splinters off from World War III. We're about to see when we read Second Esdras, right? So, but at this time, Russia is going to be, is going to be the top hegemony for a brief moment of time, right? So now, it says Second Esdras 13 and 5. And after this I beheld, and lo, there was a gather together of men of out of number, right? Now, as before I read this, when you read a little further up in Esdras, it's talking about how Jesus, Yahushua, is putting crowns on people's heads at this moment, right? So we're in the wilderness. The ones that made it out of America, the Israelites that made it out of America, because like I said, a lot of the Bible tells you 66% of our people here in America is going to die. I gotta tell you that. I gotta keep it real. So only 33% of us is gonna make it up out of here. But the flip side is we're scattered all throughout the whole world, right? So it's going to be more than just 33% of us all together because we're in almost every different country. But America has a special judgment. And, you know what I'm saying? Now, this is my personal opinion right here. Personal opinion. So I'm led to believe that the ones that the Israelites here in America, the Black, Hispanic, and Native American people in America, you know, we probably, some of us, not all of us, because you know the the 144 is going, you know, is coming from out of us as well, and the third of us is coming up out of here. But majority of us here in America, I think we are the worst of the worst, right? When you know understand our people, right? The worst of the worst of our people. That's why America has a special, not just for what they did to us, but the ones that's here in America. You know, I believe that we have a special judgment, right? So that's why a lot of us is going to get taken out. And I hope and pray that I'm and whoever listens to this is not a part of that number when it goes down. Because it's only going to be 30, like I said, 33% of us is going to make it out, right? 66% of us is going to die here. That's where you get the whole 666 from in Revelation. The 666 is those of us that take the mark of the beast that is conformed to the ideologies of this place, and so those have to go because we have a lot of Uncle Toms, we have a lot of people that want to, you know, still propagate this America, you know, ideology and want to, like I said, try to live the American dream, right? Which is no such thing. So that's just me speaking personally, right? But back to the scripture. So now, like I said, when you read a little bit above this right here, Jesus, Yahushua, his real name, is putting crowns on the people that made it out of America and elsewhere, wherever we're scattered at, putting crowns on our head. So now the world government is seeing this man and how he put you know, basically he got his back turned, basically, for lack of better terms. So they think that they can sneak up on him, right? Because he's not, you know, you know, he's not looking like a threat right now. They can subdue him, right? And so he got his back turned, and so it says after this I beheld. So this second Ezra 13:5. After this I beheld, and lo, there was a gathered together multitude of men out of number from the four winds of the heavens to subdue the man that came out of the sea. Right? So you got all the armies of the world coming together to fight this man. So this is why we have the Space Force. This is why they're trying to put laser weapons out in space. Because they want to try to catch Jesus and his angels, the Hawashad, before they reach Earth and try to think that they can destroy them. But it's not going to work, of course. Right? So then it says, out of the sea. The sea is the people. The people are us. So he's coming out in the midst of the sea of the people because there's going to be so many of us that's gathered together in the wilderness, right? Even though, like I said earlier, only a third of us going to make it out of here, but we're everywhere, right? Because the Bible says that we're like the sand of the sea. So it's or you know that we're like, you know, it's hard to count us because we're like the stars in the sky. So it's a lot of us, right? So the man that came out of the sea. But I beheld, and lo, he had graven himself a great mountain. So, like I say, when you read the book, the mountain is talking about nations, government. So he's putting this government of Israel together, which is us. So that's what he gave himself a great mountain, and he flew upon it, meaning he came to he flew above us like in order to protect us, right? Then it says he flew upon it, but would have he flew upon it and seen the region of the place where seeing the region of the place where or a place where out of the hills was graven, I could not no more. So now we're being so he flew to protect us. So now he's telling us, hey, all the the men, women, and children, get low. You know what I'm saying? It's a battle about to happen. So everybody that's outside of the 144,000, you know, we're going to be hiding. You know what I'm saying? Because we see that the armies of the world is coming to fight Yahweh and so the women and children, everybody is hiding. So that's why he said that he couldn't see him no more. So after this, I beheld, and lo, they which were to gathered together to subdue him were so afraid. Meaning they were scared to fight against this man, right? But they're gonna fight anyway, because the Bible says he's putting hooks in their jaws, right, to turn them back. And yet, does fight. And lo, as he saw the violence of the multitude that came, he neither lifted up his hand nor held a sword, nor any instrument of war, right? But only I saw that he sent out his mouth as it has been a blast of fire, and out of his lip a flaming breath. Uh, so, and with that flaming breath, when you read Obadiah, right, that's us. He's giving us a command to take down these nations, because as He's putting crowns on us, we're getting our spiritual powers, to be mighty men. Where we can just sort of like a whole tank and destroy the whole tank. You know what I'm saying? Like how a football player coming, boom. You know what I'm saying? We don't need no weapons because we got the Most High God. We're gonna be like X-Men in that day. We're gonna be like 144,000 Supermans mixed with Mike Tyson and throw some X-Men up in a bunch, right? That's how we're gonna be. The power, right? I'm trying to find. Hold on, right here, Obadiah says, "In the house of Jacob should be a fire, and the house of Joseph a flame." Right? In the house of Esau, talking about these so-called Europeans, for stubble, and they shall kindle in them and devour them. So this is what we read in here in Ezra. It says, "A blast of fire and a flaming breath, and a great tempest, in a great tempest uh, fell upon with violence upon the multitude." So we are that fire, because He's going to give us that power to take these people out. Because when you read Isaiah 63, Jesus already got his hands dirty. He already took care of some business. That's why when you read Isaiah 63, it talks about how his clothes look like it been dipped in his clothes is dipped in blood, right? So he already got down. So now he giving us, the power to get down, right? And it says, "The house of Jacob should be a fire, and the house of Joseph a flame, and the house of Esau for stubble, and they shall kindle in them and devour them. And there shall not be any remaining in the house of Esau, for the Lord has spoken it." Right? So that's what's going to happen. When it says right here, fell with violence upon the multitude which was prepared to fight, and burned them up, every one that upon a sudden innumerable multitude was nothing to be perceived. Right? So that's what's going to happen when He gives us that power to take these people out. But only dust and smell of smoke. When I saw this, I was afraid. This is what, because Ezra is seeing this vision of the end times of Armageddon, when we will fight against the mighty Russia in the BRICS and take them down, right? So, like I said, when we get that power to take these people down, you know, like it's gonna be a wonderful sight. You're gonna be wonderful. Then it says afterwards I saw the same man come down from the mountain and call unto him another peaceable multitude. Meaning, after we destroy these world armies, he's gonna tell the people that he sent to go hide. Because we're gonna see this come, and so he gonna tell us to come out. Like it's over with now, right? And then as you read in Ezra, it goes on saying that how some of us came, after this, some of us was kind of still shaking up a little bit because this is going to be, a traumatizing event. Because even Ezra, that seeing his vision, he said when he saw it, he was afraid. So some of our people are going to be kind of shaking up about it. Some of our people are going to be rejoicing and happy, that number one, we made it out. Number two, these people came up against us and they were destroyed, right? And so that's what's going to happen, right? Just get this real quick, right? Just go back to Ezekiel, right? So now we're gonna read the backdrop of how that came about, right? Because we got into the BRICS, how God called them the four carpenters, and He brought them together to take down America for what America has done to us. But then we just read in Ezra that how He's going to use us to take down the BRICS and all the rest of the armies of the world that come with them, right? Because like Reagan said, we can bring the whole world together except for an outside, force, right? Which would be Yahushua and them angels. When they see Yahushua flying through the sky with his millions, gotta say it like the Rock from wrestling, in the millions and millions of angels, you know what I'm saying? They're gonna be scared, right? And they're gonna want to fight. But just read this real quick, right? And it says, after the days will be visited in later years, thou should come into the land which is brought back from the sword. Meaning, us, we're gonna be in our land of Israel in the wilderness chilling, right? While everybody all hell is breaking loose around us. We're gonna be chilling. And it says, brought back from the sword and gather out of many people. Gather out of many people against the mountains of Israel, which have been always waste, but is brought out from the nations, and ye shall dwell safely, all of them. So we're gonna be dwelling safety, and so what's gonna happen is this. It says, and thou shalt ascend and come like a storm, and thou shalt be like a cloud covering the land, and all thy bands and people with thee, right? So Russia is gonna come, and all their bands is going to come against us, right? Because what happened is this: when you get into world history, all these mighty civilizations that ever lived have one thing in common: they had us as their slaves. So Russia's going to be like, "Hey, America was a great nation, and they were great because they had the black and Hispanic people as their second-class citizens. So just go get them niggas over there in the Middle East, because that's where we're going to be at. Because we're going to get transferred over there by the Most High God and His angels is going to, transport us over there. What they call UFOs or uh, aerial phenomena, whatever the new stuff they call it now. We know what they are. They are the chariots of the Most High God. Those are the vehicles that the Most High God angels fly around. You can read about that in the book of Zechariah and elsewhere in the beginning of Ezekiel, right? You can read about these things, right? So, because I know some of y'all probably think but I mean, even the government that came out and spoke about these things, right? It's just that we know what they are, and they trying to pretend like they don't know what they are, but they know what they are. That's why they created the Space Force, right? So it says, and it shall, and it, thus said the Lord God, it shall also come to pass that at the same time, um, At the same time shall things come into thy mind, and thou shalt think a evil thought. So we just went over that. When Russia get finally get their power, evil thought is going to come into their mind. Just go get them niggas. Just get them niggas and the black and brown people over there, right? That's going to be the evil thought. So this is the backdrop to what we just read in Ezra's about all the multitude of the nations coming after us, right? And it says, and it says, boom, boom, boom. And it says, thou shalt say, and thou shalt say, I will go up to the land of unwalled villages, and I will go to them that are at rest, because we're gonna be at rest, right? We're gonna be chilling. You know what I'm saying? Because, like I said, we just made it out of hell because America is destroyed. You know, we just made it out of there right before the whole nuclear war thing jumps off. You know, we got out. You know what I'm saying? So we're gonna be chilling. We're gonna be like, whoa, ooh, we made it out, right? That's where we're gonna be at, and we're gonna be chilling. And Russia is not gonna like the fact that we're chilling, because because whether you like it or not, they're still Europeans, and they all got the same mindset, right? They just don't get along with the West. You know what I'm saying? They still think alike. So they be like, just go get these niggas and make them our slaves and put them under us so they can build up our empire, right? So it says, and thou shalt say, I will go to the land of unwalled villages. I will go to them that are at rest, that dwell safely, all of them dwelling without walls and having uh, neither bars nor gates. Talking about they're gonna look at us as we don't have no militia. You know what I'm saying? We're not protected. We're just out in the wilderness because that's where we're gonna be at for a little bit. We're just out in the wilderness, and so let's go get them, right? But they don't know that we got a Yahweh Shah with us, right? Like how they said on the Avengers when um Iron Man was talking to Loki. He's like, yeah, but we got a Hawk, right? So that's how we feel. Like, yeah, you might have the biggest, strongest army that the earth ever seen, but we got a Yahweh Shai with us, right? So they're not gonna know that in that day. They're gonna find out. That's why it says they were so afraid, right? When they came upon them, they were so afraid, right? So to take a spoil and a prey, to turn thy hand upon the desolate places that are now inhabited and upon the people that are gathered out of the nations. Because we are going to be those people that are gathered out of the nations. Because, like I said, we're scattered everywhere. Even though predominantly most of us here in North and South America, but we have people in almost every country you can think of, right? And we're going to all be gathered together and be placed back into the wilderness, right? And it says, which have gotten cattle and goods and dwell in the midst of the land, right? So, because we're gonna have what we need to sustain ourselves, right? And how you know that is I forgot what book is in. So right now, like I said, basically we gonna have we're gonna have what we need, right? And they're gonna see, like it says, have gotten cattle and goods and dwell in the midst of the land, right? So we're gonna have everything we need, because like the Bible, like I said earlier, God says, "My servants shall eat, but you will be hungry. My servants shall drink, but you will be thirsty." Right? So we're not, and we don't want to be thirsty, and we don't want to be hungry. So we want to make sure we serve the Most High God, so we can get up out of here, right? And Sheba and Dan and the merchants of Tyrus, and with all the young lions of them will say unto thee. So talking about these Arab countries, right? Because like I said, the Arabs they know the prophecy of the Bible, right? For the most part, even though they Muslim, but they have The same prophets that's in the Bible, they have it in their Quran, so they know somewhat of these prophecies. And then not only that, they know how it goes. You know what I'm saying? They know when the real Israel is in their land, don't mess with us because we have a God that fight for us. They understand that. They know not to come and deal and mess with the Israelites when they're back in their land, keeping the laws of God, right? They know not to deal with us, and they're going to try to tell Russia and China and any other country that's still around, don't mess with those people, right? Leave them people alone, straight up and down, right? It says, and Sheba and Dan and the merchants of Tyrus, with all of the young lions together thereof, shall say to thee, art thou come to take a spoil? Meaning they like you coming to go rob these people and take what they have? You know what I'm saying? That's what they're gonna ask them. Thou hast gathered thy company to take a prey, meaning you're gonna go and kill these people and try to capture them. It says, to carry away silver and gold and take away cattle and goods to take a great spoil. That's what they asking. Therefore, son of man, prophesied against God, which would be, whoever's the president of Russia during that time. It might be Putin. It might be whoever come after him. But most likely, it could be Putin. Thus said the Lord God, in that day when my people of Israel dwell safely in the shall thou not know it? So God's like, dude, like you don't know my people is dwelling safely, like, and you should know not to mess with them, because once we get back to who we supposed to be, then we're gonna be the kings and the queens of this planet, and God is gonna protect us and not let nothing happen to us, right? We're not gonna have to worry about somebody coming and taking us and making us work for them ever again, right? We don't have to worry about the stress of this world that we have to worry about currently because we have to work a job to take care of this. We have to take care of that. We have to, all these things that we will have to worry about. We're not going to worry about that, right? Because we're not going to have that to worry about. So it says, and thou shalt come from the place out of the north parts, thou and many people with thee, all of them riding upon horses, great company and a mighty army. Talking about they gonna bring them out. They're gonna bring all the armies with them, right? Because like we said earlier, what Reagan said a long time ago about, you know, an outside threat, an extraterrestrial threat can bring the whole world together, right? But it's not extraterrestrial to us because we know who that is. That's Yahweh and his angels, right? Fighting along with 144,000 Superman / Mike Tysons, right? That's who he is. And it says, and thou shalt come up against my people Israel, and as a cloud cover the land, and it shall be in the latter days I will bring thee against my land. So God is making them do this. It says, I will bring thee against my land. Because when we read in Obadiah, let's read this one more time for those who don't know. It says, and Esau shall be for a stubble, and they shall kindle in them and devour them, and there shall not be any remaining of the house of Esau. So God is planning on, not just planning on, he promised to destroy the whole Caucasian race of people, whether they're Russian, Serbian, Czechoslovakian, French, English, British, American, whatever they want to call themselves these days. He says, shall not be any remaining of the house of Esau, for the Lord has spoken it, not me. I'm just a person that's reading the Bible, but the Lord has spoken it. And we can go over here. Shall not in that day the Lord, said the Lord, even destroy the wise man of Edom and understanding out of the mount of Esau. and thy mighty men of Otiman shall be dismayed, and to the end that everyone of Mount Esau, meaning the nation of Esau, talking about, like I said, no matter what they want to call themselves these days, shall be cut off by slaughter. Right? That's what's going to happen to these people. They will be cut off by slaughter. So, like it says, and thou shalt come against, and thou shalt come up against my people Israel as a cloud covered the land, and it shall be in the latter days I will bring thee against my land that the heathen may know me. So God is going to judge them. This is called the valley of Jehoshaphat, the valley of decisions, Armageddon, right? So we're reading the backdrop of what we just read in Ezra's about how he ended up giving us the power to take these different nations down, right? That is at this point being spearheaded by Russia. The beast NATO is being spearheaded by America, but America is already out of power. They took him down, right? The landmass was destroyed, even though their army is probably still somewhat functioning, but they're gonna be riding with Russia at this point, right? Because now they think that they can come together to fight against Yahweh, who the world called Jesus, right? So it says, and thou shalt come against my people Israel as a cloud to cover the land. It shall be as in latter days I will bring thee against my land, that the heathen may know me when I shall be sanctified in thee, O God, before their eyes. So he's going to sanctify himself, meaning he's going to let himself be known to these people. And how he letting himself be known? By us right now, spreading the word, letting the people know that God said this is going to happen. So when this happens, people are going to be like, oh, wow, those crazy people was right. So he's letting himself be known through his judgment. Because the Bible tells you that God is known through his judgments, right? That's how God makes himself be known when he judges things. Because it says God is a man of war, right? A God of war. That's who he is. Church will tell you, well, God is all love. God is all love. But no, the Bible says Yahweh is a man of war and Yahweh is his name, right? That's how God operates, through war. Yes, he loves his people. Yes, he does. He loves his people. But he operates through conquest and war, right? Then it says, against my land the heathen may know me, and I shall sanctify in thee, O God, before their eyes. Thus said Yahweh God, art thou he whom I have spoken in old times by my servant the prophets of Israel, which prophesied in those days many years that I will bring thee again against them, right? It says, it shall come to pass at the same time when God shall come against the land of Israel, said Yahweh God, that my fury shall come up in my face, meaning he's gonna get so hot. Have you been so mad that your face is burning, right? That's how God feel about these people, right? That he's gonna be, when Russia decided to come against us, he's gonna be so mad that his face is gonna be burning, right? It says my fury, um, it says, my fury shall come up in my face, for in my jealousy and the fire of my wrath I have spoken. Surely in that day there shall be a great shaking in the land of Israel. Meaning God gonna get down with these people, using his son Yahweh Shai. And Yahweh Shai giving us the commandment to take these people down, right? And it says, so the fishes of the sea and the fowls of the heaven and the beasts of the field and all the creeping things that creep upon the earth and all the men that are upon the face of the earth shall shake at my presence, and the mountains shall be thrown down. Talking about these nations are going to be taken down, and the steep places shall fall, and every wall shall fall to the ground. Right? That's what's going to happen. Right? Let's get a little more, right? We gotta understand how this stuff happens, right? Because it says, because when that happened, this is Daniel 7:18. But the saints, talking about the Israelites, but the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever and even forever and ever, right? So that's what's gonna happen when they come against us. That's gonna be, you know, it's just like how the analogy I use is like for my people that follow wrestling, Royal Rumble, right? You know, World War III is the Royal Rumble, right? So it's like a Royal Rumble mixed with WrestleMania all together, right? So we're coming in, so we letting all these countries battle it out. They're fighting against each other. We coming in at number 30, which is the last number in the Royal Rumble. But by the time we get to, but at the same time we coming in at number 30, this is also WrestleMania, the biggest fight of the year. So, and when we come in, it says the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever and ever and ever. The kingdom of God, which is the government that's going to be set on this earth. Because how that prayer go? Our Father, which art in heaven, uh, hallowed be thy name on earth as it is in heaven, right? So, because the kingdom is going to be on earth, right? And with us being a ruling class people, Yahweh Shai, who the world calls Jesus, being the king, and Yahweh being our God that we praise and serve, right? That's how it's going to go down, right? So, with that being said, what more can I say? As Jay Z and them say, right? So, like I said, so that's what's happening in the nutshell. You got, so you know, you got the BRICS, you know, coming together to take out America, right, and their Western powers. Then after they start feeling themselves after a while, because like I said, we're gonna, you know, hopefully a lot of us get, you know, get up out of here when before those bombs start dropping, right? So let me just get a timeline like this. Mark of the Beast is coming. You know, the RFID chip, right? That they're gonna try to put in everybody, right? The mark of the beast is coming. Then civil war, civil unrest, people fighting against everybody. You know, internment camps, FEMA camps, wherever how you want to call it. World War III breaking off. You know, bombs dropping, but at the same time the bombs dropping, whether we're in a FEMA camp or we on a run, or however, because a lot of us is going to be on a run also, because you know we're going to see them going door to door rounding up people, and we're going to, you know, a lot of us going to have a sense to get up out of there. I know I'm one of them. I'm trying to run for the. I'm going to be on my Forrest Gump trying to run for it, right? Because I'm not going. Um, you got to catch me outside. How about that? Like. Like a girl said on Maury, catch me outside. How about that? Right? I ain't going. Um, so you're gonna have that. Uh, Yahweh Shai comes, him and his angels crack that sky with the millions and millions of angels come and gather us up wherever we may be, bring us to the wilderness. Right? We're gonna be chilling in the wilderness. We're gonna have everything we need because like I said, a lot of these African countries, like I said, because God is using it's a Bible verse. Like I said, when I find it, you know, I'll bring it out. Um, God is using a lot of these African countries to attain wealth, right? To get all their food, get all that stuff. You know, could you hear about these food banks and stuff? You know, they got a food bank out in Alaska or something like that somewhere. They got all these places where they're storing food just in case, and that's all for us, right? Because like I said, because the Bible tells you we're gonna have what we need, so we're gonna be chilling in the wilderness, then Putin or whoever's in charge, it might be Putin because the way things are set up, saying in Russia, he might, end up being president again, right? So, then they're gonna get a bright idea to come and get us, but they're not gonna know that we got Yahweh Shai with us, you know, or maybe they would know because, like I said, Yahweh Shai is gonna he just fresh off of coming through the nations and destroying a bunch of nations, right? Chiefly the Edomites, right? So then maybe they're gonna track them back to where we at, and then they're gonna decide to try to attack because they think that they can subdue him because his back is turned. But then he don't know, they don't know the type of God we serve, the man that has all power. So then we're gonna destroy them. Then we're gonna be ruling the earth forever, ever, forever, ever. Like we just read right here in Daniel, it says, "The saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever and even forever." Right. So that's what's gonna happen. Um, and that's the end. We live happily ever after with the other nations underneath us serving, right? How it's supposed to be. Like how we read right here. We'll get one more for y'all before we out of here. Just and get Isaiah 65 and 21. And they shall build houses and inhabit them. Hold on, that's not the one I want. Hold on. Even though that's what it is, but we're not gonna build them. They're gonna build it. Trying to get where it says they will build it. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, hold on. Bear with me. Bear with me. But hold on. This one good enough. Right here, you get 14. This one good enough. 14 and start at 2. And the people should take them, talking about Israel, we are the people. We should take them and bring them to their place, and the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of the Lord for servants and for handmaids, and they shall take them captive, who captives they were, and they shall rule over their oppressors. So that is what's going to happen. That is the final get down. We're going to rule over them for 1,000 years, like it says in the Revelation. And after those 1,000 years, they will be allowed to return back home to whatever country they're from, but still paying us tribute. We're going to put them in tribute, so they're going to have to give us taxes, for the lack of better term. And some of us, we still going to have our little servants, but majority of them is going to be allowed to go back home. And then we're going to be ruling this planet forever, ever, forever, ever. Like how it was meant to be set up from the beginning, right? So with that being said, I'm going to say shalom, peace. I hope that gave y'all a better understanding of how this BRICS thing is going to play out. So we ain't got to be all franticing about the BRICS, and see what's going on, because we know the game plan. We know how it's going to work. So, because the Bible tells us, the Bible gave us the game plan. The Bible gave us the playbook, right? We just don't read it. So, with that, I'm going to say peace, shalom. I'm out.